Zhou straightened up and said lightly, "What happened?" Little Yuan told him what she heard and saw at the foot of the mountain. After listening to her, Zhou frowned slightly. The female cultivators of Derived Moon Palace were Yi Qianxin's subordinates. They were leaderless now with her locked up in the back of the mountain, and yet they still dared to come to Golden Court Mountain. It seemed that they were bolder than some men out there. However, they were just a group of female cultivators, with the strongest ones being Divine Court cultivators. Zhou thought that it would be very tiring for someone as old as him if he had to handle everything himself. "It is only a minor thing you can handle yourself," he said softly. "Oh, have a good rest, master. I'll keep an eye on senior brother," Little Yuan said. Zhou leaned back in a chair and rested his forehead on a hand as he continued resting. "My head is already reeling from all the lucky draws these days, and I need to take a break. If I have the time to handle such a minor thing, I might as well use it to figure out the pattern of the lucky draws." At the foot of Golden Court Mountain, Ming-Shi grinned wickedly and said, "Why? Are you not happy with me?" That took the black-clad cultivator aback. He was about to say something when a clear bell rang out of the ink-colored dragon chariot behind him. He choked back his displeasure and flew back toward the chariot, while the other black-clad cultivators formed up in orderly ranks and waited quietly for orders. Then a voice echoed out of the chariot. "Mr. Fourth, may I see your master?" The voice was not loud, but the energy that came with it could make an 8 Meridians Brahmasi expert suffer. Ming-Shi replied disapprovingly, "My master would not entertain a nobody like you." The chariot fell silent. Although the other black-clad cultivators did not move, he could feel that they were all fuming. "Since I'm in a good mood today, you're all allowed to go back to where you come from now." Ming-Shi was truly in a good mood today, and he was telling the truth. Yet, the remark sounded like an insult in their ears. Just when he was about to turn around and pass through the shield, he heard a resonating sound of energy. Buzz. The female cultivators of Derived Moon Palace slumped to the ground as they stared at the black avatar over the dragon chariot in horror. Ming-Shi looked up and saw an ink-colored 100 Tribulations inside avatar, which stood about 50 feet tall, with a 4-leaf lotus beneath it. Under the avatar's power, a magical resonance occurred with the black-clad cultivators around the chariot, causing their auras to grow a few times stronger. "Mr. Fourth, am I qualified to meet your master now?" Ming-Shi frowned slightly. The man was very strong, and he knew that apart from his master, only his eldest and second senior brothers were strong enough to deal with him. However, Golden Court Mountain had long since lost its glory. "Ah, a nascent divinity tribulation expert. If you are here to show off your prowess, I'm afraid you have come to the wrong place," he said coldly. "I'll never dare to do that." The voice grew louder. "I'm Zhou Xinchan of Fiend Temple, and I'm here to beg an audience with old Senior G. I hope Mr. Fourth can bring me to your master." When the voice faded, the surrounding black-clad cultivators began to descend, and then the ink-colored dragon chariot followed to land on the ground. Soon, Zhou Xinchan walked slowly out of the chariot. He had a black and haggard face, as well as a pair of deep eyes, which made him look like a malnourished little old man. "I hope this will show you my sincerity," he said as he waved a hand. At the gesture, dozens of black-clad cultivators around him stepped back, leaving only 4 of them standing to his left and right. After that, he stared fixedly at Ming-Shi. Ming-Shi shook his head and thought, "Is he trying to threaten and scare me?" Just when he was about to reject, however, he heard Little Yuaner's voice. "Fourth senior brother." Little Yuaner appeared outside the shield and said, "Master asks you to bring him up the mountain." Zhou Xinchan looked up slowly. When he saw Little Yuaner floating in midair, he nodded and said admiringly, "Ah, Mr. Ninth, I've heard a lot about you." "Oh, am I so famous?" Little Yuaner laughed. "Mr. Ninth is more than famous," Zhou Xinchan said unhurriedly. After joining Golden Court Mountain at the age of 10, Mr. Ninth had used only 10 days to step into Mystic and Lightning Realm, 3 months to step into the Sense Condensing Realm, 2 years to open all 8 meridians of the Brahmasi Realm, and 3 years to enter the Divine Court Realm. I'm certain that there is no one else in this world who can be a greater genius than Mr. Ninth. Ming-Sher-In was speechless as he thought, is he really an expert who has an avatar with a four-leaf golden lotus? Why is he so good at flattering others? Little Yuana was very happy when she heard that. So she said while smiling, "You have a glib tongue. Master says he will meet you in the Great Hall." Zhuo Chan nodded slightly and glanced back over his shoulder. With that, the dozen cultivators moved back one more step. After that, led by Ming-Sher-In, he brought forward his men and walked into the shield. When he was stepping through it, he stopped for a brief moment, causing the female cultivators of Derived Moon Palace to tremble with fear. He snorted at them before ascending the mountain. In the great hall of Evil Sky Pavilion, Zhou sat on the throne that overlooked the audience. It had been a long time since he last sat on the seat, and he found it rather cold and uncomfortable. Duanmu Sheng, Zhou Jifeng, and Pan Zhong stood to his left and right. Before long, Ming-Sher-In led Zhuo Chan into the great hall. Zhuo Chan of the Fiend Temple offers greetings. Old Senior Ji. He cupped his fist as he said that. Zhou glanced at him and did not say a word. The great hall was silent. Since the villainous Patriarch did not speak, no one dared make a sound or even move. After a while, he finally said, "Have a seat." "Thank you." Zhuo Chan sat down in a chair, and he finally had a chance to look up at the villainous Patriarch who shook the world. He dared not to actively sense the mighty expert's cultivation level, so he just briefly judged it with his intuition. It seemed to him that the villainous Patriarch's aura was somewhat ordinary. However, it was a common practice to hide one's cultivation base in the cultivation world, so he was not surprised. Then he glanced at his surroundings. The great hall was not luxurious or majestic. In fact, it looked just like an ordinary sect without anything unusual. This was the Evil Sky Pavilion, the lair of villains that frightened countless people. "What do you want from me?" Zhou stroked his beard and asked. Zhuo Chan cupped his fist and said, "I've long heard of Golden Court Mountain's great reputation. There are 3 things I wish to discuss with Old Senior today. In the past, Derived Moon Palace had attacked Fiend Temple many times. I'm glad to learn that Old Senior has captured their palace master. She deserves all the punishment from her master. However, I hope Old Senior can let me have the other female cultivators." He paused, but before he could continue with the second thing, Duanmu Sheng shook the chain that bound him and said, "Derived Moon Palace is founded by a traitor of the Golden Court Mountain. You have no right to punish them." Mr. Third has a point. Zhuo Chan did not refute that. Instead, he went on, "The second thing is a task entrusted to me by Clarity Sect. Pan Zhong is a traitor of Clarity Sect, and they have given Fiend Temple the right to deal with him. Perhaps you don't know, but Pan Zhong was showing interest in joining the Fiend Temple not long ago. A man who changes his mind constantly is not qualified to stand inside the Evil Sky Pavilion." Duanmu Sheng wanted to refute Zhuo Chan again, but Zhou slowly raised a hand and stopped him. "Continue." Zhuo Chan bowed slightly and said, "If we can both agree on the third thing, we can forget about the first 2 things." As he said, he rose to his feet and his voice grew louder. "We, the Fiend Temple and the Golden Court Mountain, are on the same boat, hated by those so-called righteous sections. Their top 10 experts have fought many battles with Old Senior, and their powers are increasing instead of decreasing. If Evil Sky Pavilion is willing to join hands with Fiend Temple, no one in this world will be a match for us." Bush *T. Duanmu Sheng suddenly cursed. The swearing came way too suddenly. Duanmu Sheng was a prudent man, and yet even he could stand it no more. After all, no one had ever challenged Golden Court Mountain like this before. Zhuo Chan had mentioned 3 things, for which everyone could tell that he had little to no respect for Golden Court Mountain. A lowly sect like your Fiend Temple is not qualified to talk to Evil Sky Pavilion. Duanmu Sheng glared at him with angry eyes. All the people present looked at Duanmu Sheng, stunned, while Zhou remained calm and hid his thoughts well. Instead of getting angry, Zhuo Chan said, "Mr. Third, please pardon me if my words have offended you." Duanmu Sheng was not good at talking, and he was always annoyed by cheeky people who talked vaguely. He was about to explode when Mingshi rose and said, "Let me tell you something, Zhuo-Chan. Please enlighten me, Mr. Fourth. First, derived moon palace belongs to Yi Tianxin. Do you agree that when one beats a dog, one must answer to his master?" Asked Mingshi. "It makes sense." Second, since Pan Zhong has joined Golden Court Mountain, he is one of us, and Evil Sky Pavilion will not question his past. If you give him trouble, you are giving Evil Sky Pavilion trouble. It makes sense. Last but not the least, you are not qualified to join hands with Evil Sky Pavilion. I'm sorry. The Great Hall fell silent again, while Zhou remained calm. He did not nod or shake his head. He just listened quietly. All of a sudden, Zhuo-Chan laughed as he shook his head and said, "I don't agree with your last point." "Why?" "Fiend Temple was not qualified to join hands with Evil Sky Pavilion, but that was when you were at your peak. Times have changed. Evil Sky Pavilion is growing weaker, and old Senior G cannot reverse its fall even with his profound cultivation base. On the other hand, Fiend Temple is getting stronger every day, which has been witnessed by the cultivation world. Besides, making a friend is better than making an enemy." Once he had finished, Zhuo-Chan looked up and rested his eyes on Zhou, as if he were waiting for his answer. He made it plain that he would ignore the opinions of others and would not be bothered by them, as he only cared about Zhou's attitude. Zhou still wore the same calm expression, revealing not even a hint of emotion. Then he raised a hand and lightly stroked his beard. A few moments later, he finally said, "You are right." That gave little Yuan a pause. She wondered if her master had become confused because of his old age. Shouldn't he be angry when a lowly sect like this made such a bold remark in Evil Sky Pavilion? Zhuo-Chan nodded and said in a cheerful voice, "Thank you for being so understanding, old senior." Zhou suddenly said again, "Do you know why I asked you to come up here?" Zhuo-Chan said doubtfully, "Is it because old senior has guessed my purpose of visiting Golden Court Mountain?" Shaking his head, Zhou asked, "You are cultivating the Fiend Zen, are you not?" "Yes, I am. There is no wisdom tree, nor a stand of a mirror bright. A Fiend Zen is rarely cultivated in this world. I heard you are the only one who has cultivated 100 tribulations inside Avatar. Is that correct?" Zhou continued asking. "Old senior is flattering me. That is correct." Zhuo-Chan could not help but feel proud when someone mentioned his best achievement. "I've cultivated the Fiend Zen for over 100 years, and it is because of this Fiend Zen hand seal that I can rank third on the black roll." "Good, very good." Zhou nodded in praise, which confused his disciples. Zhuo-Chan's words were prickly, insinuating that Evil Sky Pavilion was waning. How could their master not understand? Why was he praising this guy? What kind of new routine was this? Right then, Duanmu Sheng jumped forward and threw his palms out a few times in a row. "Show me what you can do." The sudden change surprised everyone, and they all watched the scene in shock. Meanwhile, Zhuo-Chan's eyes lit up as he said, "That's what I intend to do." This was his opportunity to show the strength of Fiend Temple. Waves of energy clashed as both men began to fight in the Great Hall. "Master, Little Yuana was worried that they would destroy the building." "It doesn't matter, let them fight." Zhou watched calmly. Both men had precise control over their energies. Whenever a wave of energy was about to hit the building, it would disappear automatically. This was how experts fought each other. Despite the injury, Mr. Third is still so strong. "I really admire your strength," praised Zhuo-Chan as he moved backward. However, Duanmu Sheng had not stepped into the nascent divinity tribulation realm. Over the years, he had failed to make the breakthrough because Ji Tiandao had been suppressing him. As a result, when he truly fought Zhuo-Chan, his weakness began to show. Zhuo-Chan, on the other hand, looked very relaxed. "Hand seals." Little Yuan pointed at the hand seals thrown out by Zhuo-Chan and exclaimed worriedly. With the appearance of the hand seals, the strength of Duanmu Sheng's energy reduced significantly, as if it had been weakened. At the sight of that, Zhou Jifeng shook his head and said, "After all, He is one realm weaker. In fact, it was more than just that. Duanmu Sheng was already wounded before they began fighting, and he was chained as well. Third senior brother, beat him. Beat him hard. Little Yuaner shouted. Bam! A hand seal hit the chain made of cold iron, sending sparks all over the place and pushing Duanmu Sheng back. Then, more hand seals flew toward him, each glowing faintly and looking like a real palm. Zhou shook his head. Duanmu Sheng could be considered as invincible below the nascent divinity tribulation realm. He was not only tough, but also fierce. It was a pity that he was one realm weaker than his opponent. It did not matter, however, because Zhou had no reason to continue suppressing his disciples' cultivation bases like Ji Tiandao. The road of cultivation was long. All his disciples were amazingly gifted, and he knew that it was only a matter of time before they became mighty experts. Let me try. Mingshi Yin leaped, moving as fast as lightning while the endless energy emanated from his body, devoured the hand seals in a blink of an eye. Oh, I didn't expect that Mr. Fourth has stepped into the nascent divinity tribulation realm. So Xin-chan seemed to grow stronger as the battle progressed. The 4 men he brought with him stood straight, like spears. They had absolute confidence in the strength of their sect's deputy chief. Bam! 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 The joining of Mingshi Yin slightly stabilized the situation. After all, he was also a nascent divinity tribulation expert. As the battle grew intense, it became impossible for the energy waves to not touch the building structure, no matter how precisely they could control them. Eventually, some pillars were hit and cracked. Pan Zhong and the others looked at Zhou, but he just watched quietly as if what was happening had nothing to do with him. Mingshi Yin's Bluewood technique showed its wonderful power at this moment. With it, he managed to reverse the situation and gain the upper hand. For a moment, energy waves and hand seals filled the whole great hall and dazzled all eyes. Suddenly, Xin-chan said in a deep voice, "Watch out. I am not going to hold back my power anymore." Buzz. Right then, an avatar appeared. The source of a nascent divinity tribulation expert's prowess was in his avatar. Measuring 50 feet high, the ink-colored avatar was tall enough to destroy Evil Sky Pavilion, but strangely, it stood inside the building like a shadow, without damaging anything. At the sight of it, Pan Zhong was speechless with fear, and he suddenly realized where Xin-chan's confidence came from. This man is unusually strong. As soon as the avatar appeared, the situation reversed, and the terrible strength of a nascent divinity tribulation expert was perfectly demonstrated.